The James Show Podcast.
We may be one step closer to seeing the Epstein files finally. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I know, good to see you too. Right before the James Show started, the House passed the Epstein vote, the bill to release the Epstein files, and it was almost unanimous.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Bang. So it's headed to the Senate now. John Thune told the media that they may be able to pass this as soon as tonight. So I rush over to C-SPAN 2, where they have a camera on the Senate, and they said they're waiting on a senator to speak on a Nuclear Regulatory Commission nomination, but that screen has been up for about an hour now. So if it happens before the end of the show, I'm going to jump right to it. But then we just had a great discussion with Jeremy Rosenthal about the redactions. And even if we get it, is it going to be redacted beyond belief or beyond use? Because what we really want isn't even just the list or the whole list, nothing but the list. We don't want the victims to have to suffer negative consequences from being put in public blast. We want people who rape children to go to prison. That's all. I don't care who it is. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care if it's Kamala Harris. I don't care if it's my dad. Go to jail. I know it's not you, Dad. Just using that as an example. Chris in Mesquite, you're on WBAP.
Hey, how you doing, James? Tell you what, I think we're not going to be able to see anything on these files when we do get them. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Madam Maxwell is down in Bryan College Station right now, correct?
Oh, you're talking about Jizz Lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Maxwell is at Bryan College Station, which is a low-security camp. It is a community facility. By BOP regulations, because of her conviction and because of her time, she cannot be there. But yet she is.
What does that mean to you?
That means having been someone who has served time in the federal system, I can tell you that they have a sex offender at a camp, which is against all BOP regulations, which means they're trying to appease Madam Maxwell because Madam Maxwell knows the truth. She hasn't slipped and fallen. She hasn't, had any accidents like old Jeffrey did, but that's a matter of time because she obviously knows something. They are protecting her and putting her at Bryan College Station, which is a facility that if she really wanted to, she could walk out the front door.
So did you go to federal prison or state prison?
Federal.
Okay. So, well, you know more than I do.
I started off at a Club Fed right down the road from Bryan College Station.
What did you do?
I was in for fraud, for white-collar crime, and I spent 4 years in federal prison, and I can tell you that 2 of those years were spent actually in a prison, not at a camp. And I was on a prison compound in Bastrop, Texas that was 45% child molesters.
Ew.
That had half as much time as I did for fraud.
Ew. Oh, that's terrible.
And the federal system is full of it.
Gross. All right. So
they're gonna tell you they're gonna do all this stuff, and they're gonna thump their chest and tell you we're gonna convict all these people. I'm telling you right now that if Maxwell has a sentence of 20 years and is a sex offender, and she's at a camp, she's not going to do her 20 years, and she's not going to where she's at. She should not even be. By FOP regulations, by Bureau of Prison regulations, she should not be there, which means someone very high up is making sure that she's very protected.
She's twisted someone's arm, right? That's what you're getting at? Yeah, I hear you.
Exactly. So when we do get these files, the redactions are going to be crazy. It's going to be sheets of black lines that you can't read anything. It's going to be claimed that it's protect this person and protect. It's protecting people. It's protecting people from convictions. And if we do get convictions, they're going to get the good old, well, we're going to give you 6 months house arrest and a year and a day so that you can only serve 3 months. That's what's fixing to happen.
Do you think that they're going to at least throw a couple of people to the wolves to act like they got them all, and they'll,
There's going to be the sacrificial lamb. There's always a sacrificial lamb.
Okay.
This is the U.S. government we're talking about. It's always a sacrificial lamb.
Well, great call.
But in the grand scheme of things, we can sit here and talk for hours about what these files say and what they're not going to say. The truth of the matter is we're never going to know. They're never going to tell us. And the reason is, look down in Bryan College Station where they have an inmate that's not even supposed to be there.
I hear you. That makes me suspicious as hell, too. All right. Good stuff. Chris and Mesquite, I appreciate you calling in, sir. And he waited a really long time for that one, too. So I appreciate your patience there, Chris. I realize most of you don't have the time. A lot of people who listen to radio, you're actually doing something else. You're at work, or you're driving, or you're on a sales call, or you're tinkering in your workshop. But the fast way is you can just send a quick email or a Facebook message, I think is what is probably the fastest. And I get a ton of those. And there's some people that are feeling sort of the same way as Chris and Mesquite. Paul via email said, number one, where's the videos? You know what? Good point. When we talk about the Epstein list, Jeremy said, this is kind of a big nebulous thing. This isn't like a one piece of paper. This is a moving target where it's flight logs, it's financial transaction records, it's the witness testimony. But also, Paul brings up the videos. Aren't there videos? Are there some videos? Because Pam Bondi said there were videos. Have the videos been securely stored? Is there copies of them? Have they been destroyed? Because those would be damning for perpetrators. You can't redact that. Also, he says, One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb said extensively, covers all the things Epstein. Worth reading if you haven't already. I have not, so thank you. Stephen Fort Worth sent an email in. He says pretty much, he's talking about the Michelle Obama story. Pretty much every voice was white. Yeah. I get you. All right. I'm your host, James Parker, along with WBAP weekend host John Ingham back on the James Show. And listen, I'm excited for the Cowboys. I'm a lifelong fan. Glad they won. I prefer that to them losing. It's just hard to get excited about them beating a team that I knew was bad. I just hadn't watched the Raiders play all year. I didn't know they were this bad. I mean, that might as well have played Mesquite Poteet, John.
Yeah, they're not good, but I mean, my goodness, James, it sounds like somebody shot your puppy dog. I mean, the Cowboys won. Oh, boo-hoo. But no, man, you should be excited. Yes, the Raiders are not very good. Their offense, like I told you yesterday, they rank 31st in the league. They need help everywhere. Ashton Genty, the kid that's from Frisco, Lone Star, is their tailback. The Cowboys really wanted him. He went 6th overall to the Raiders, and he is a great player. They've got a couple other guys that I think some other teams would be interested in, but past that, they don't have anybody, and it showed. But the Cowboys' offense was really good. I mean, Dak Prescott surpassed Tony Romo for the fourth. He had 41. Yet last night was his 41st multi-touchdown game. That passes Tony Romo for the most in franchise history. By proxy, obviously, that's the most 4 or more touchdown games in franchise history. Passed Tony Romo last night for the most 100-plus quarterback rating games in franchise history. And you had C.D. Lamb and George Pickens, who went over 200 yards combined for the game. So the offense was fantastic, setting records and everything else. C.D. Lamb became the 3rd fastest Cowboy to get 40 receiving touchdowns, and all that's well and good. But last night, James, this one was about the defense. They were absolutely fantastic.
Well, this was a different defense than we've seen all year. We had a couple of new guys. Yeah. We had some guys back from injury. DeMarvion Overshawn had a new number even. So it's almost not fair to even compare them to previous weeks because, I mean, how many people were here this week that weren't here a month ago?
Oh, gosh. Well, let's see. You had the 2 new guys that they just picked up. You had Overshawn. Donovan Wilson was back. Malik Hooker was back. So that's 5 right there, 5 of your 12 or of your 11. And so that's almost half. And so that's huge. And they're all at very important positions. But I'm going to tell you what, it begins and ends with Quinnen Williams, the new defensive tackle. He was fantastic. He had a career high in quarterback pressures with 5. He had a sack and a half. And when you have somebody like that, James, that everybody else is paying attention to, that frees up other people. And it did. Oso Digizua had a sack. Kenny Clark had a sack. The rookie, Donovan Ezraku, got a safety. I mean, the defense was flying around, and then that helps the back end, the secondary. Donovan Wilson kept catching my eye. He was fantastic. Malik Hooker was great. This defense, Siobhan Ravel, played his first game as a Dallas Cowboy. So there's 6 right there. That's over half. And so the defense, you're right. I mean, it was a bunch of new faces, and it really showed. They look really good. And it's like you and I have talked about all year. They don't have to be great. They just have to be good. And last night, they were really good.
Cowboys' chances of making the playoffs?
0. I mean, well, I shouldn't say 0, James. I just don't see how they're going to have to get to 10 wins. They have 4. That means they would have to win 6 of the next 7. And they're just, I don't see that happening.
Oh, no. You just said 6-7. You said 6 of the next 7. I just do that for my kids.
Yeah, me too. They play 10. They play 3 games within 10 games, 4 within 17. And the teams that they're playing next, they have the champs. Philadelphia's coming to town. Then on Thanksgiving, they've got some guy named Patrick Mahomes, who's from Hooterville out there where you're from.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs. And then it's former Dallas Cowboy Dan Campbell is going to be facing the Cowboys are going to be facing the Detroit Lions. And so then it's the Vikings, and then it's Washington, and then it's New York. I mean, it's going to be a really tough road. They may win a couple of games. I almost hope that they don't, so they get a better draft pick. But I just don't see them winning 6 games to get to 10. Maybe they will. I mean, maybe this defense is better than anyone thinks, but I just don't think that's realistic.
Well, NFL Next Gen stats say the Cowboys have a 7% chance of making the postseason.
7.
That feels a little high, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, that's up from what it was a week ago.
A week ago, it was 4. It was 4, right?
Yeah, there we go. So there you go.
All right.
So I mean, yeah, there's some improvement there, but I'll tell you what. I mean, don't be down. Don't be discouraged. There are some things to be excited about. Looking to next year, of course, but you never know. I mean, this team could surprise some people, but it's really fun, especially after everything that happened this week with Marshawn Kneeland and his death and everything else. It was really good to see the guys come out and respond the way that they did. They played together, and I'll tell you what, James, Brian Schottenheimer gets a big gold star by his name for keeping the team into it, for keeping the team up, for keeping the team focused, everything he did, everything he said. He really proved his mettle as a leader of men. I can't say enough about him. Dak, of course, was Dak. And, you know, his leadership after losing his brother the same way, it was just a very emotional week, and what a great way to cap it all off.
Well, and on the bright side, yeah, the Cowboys aren't that great, but the Washington and New York teams are even worse. So that's makes you feel a little better.
Yeah.
The Redskins and Giants are worse than we are. So that's pretty good. John Ingham, thank you very much for being on the James Show, sir.
You bet, my man. Talk to you soon.
All right. You can catch him on the weekends here on WBAP. You hear this come out every once in a while where no one deserves to be a billionaire, no one deserves to control that much resources, or there's no one. The AOC said it before. Billie Eilish said it like a week ago. Now we have this guy that's running for Senate in Maine saying no one deserves to be a billionaire. Well, let me play this for you first, and then we'll blow this out of the water.
Nobody works hard enough to justify $1 billion. Not in a world where I know people that have 3 jobs and can't even afford their rent. I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that in a state like Maine, where people work as hard as we do here, that it is merely hard work that gets you that kind of success. We all know it isn't. We all know it's the structures, it's the tax code. That is what allows that money to get accrued, and that is also why we can get it back. Because the world that we live in today is not organic. It is not natural. The political and economic world we have did not happen because it had to. It happened because politicians in Washington and the billionaires that write the policies that they pushed, they made this happen. They changed the laws, and they made it legal to accrue as much wealth and power as they have now. And we need to go make it illegal again to do that.
Okay, it was never illegal to be rich. It was never illegal to be a billionaire. It was never illegal to accumulate as much wealth as possible, nor should it be. This is a free market capitalist system. That's the encouragement of the free market capitalist system. That's what we're all trying to do, is go accumulate as much resources as we possibly can. That's why you work today. That's why I'm at work now. Of course, some people deserve to be a billionaire. But notice there's a few little tricks he does in there, like a little rhetorical sleight of hands. Number one, when he says, no one works hard enough to be a billionaire.
Nobody works hard enough to justify $1 billion. Not in a world where I know people.
Yeah, stop that. So I don't think anyone thinks that people deserve $1 billion if they work hard enough. Who are you arguing against? I hate these straw man arguments. I hate it when I'm trying to have an intelligent discussion on economics and the people on the other side of the aisle are aggressively misinterpreting or have no idea what my economic philosophy is, period. How are you arguing against me when you don't even understand what I believe? They're not here to argue against me. They're not here to actually understand what you believe and what I believe and then formulate their opinions for it. He is trying to convince the group of people in front of him that you and I are evil. And he's a good person. And he's using envy. He's using emotion. There was nothing economic in his statements. There was nothing logical in his statements. These were all emotional pulls. No one works hard enough, especially when I see people working 3 jobs, can't afford their rent. These are all emotional pulls. Oh, okay. So people aren't allowed. It's unethical to accumulate wealth while other people are poor. No, I'm not buying that. So that statement's false. Number one, I don't believe people become a billionaire by working super duper hard. In a free market, capitalist economy, which we're supposed to have, and for the most part do, you get to be a billionaire by helping a whole lot of people. That's how you become a billionaire. Well, our first billionaire, Standard Oil, Rockefeller. What did he do? He developed the oil industry. Geez, is that important? Did that improve anyone's standard of living? He became a millionaire/billionaire because he dropped the price of oil by about 90%. It was like $10 a barrel when he started. He got it down to like $1 a barrel. And these are just ballpark numbers. Don't go Google it and tell me I'm wrong. But there were all kinds of like benefits and improvements to the standard of living of the everyday ordinary people because of this guy. Same thing for the guy who invented Walmart, Sam Walton. He doesn't deserve to be a billionaire. You know how much money he has saved all of us? Anyone who's ever shopped at Walmart and gotten a deal that they wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. They had their standard of living improved because of this guy. He improved the standard of living of about 300 million people. And so if it was just, a few bucks from each of them, he's justified his $1 billion easily. Did Michael Jordan not sell enough shoes and clothing to warrant $1 billion? Does Taylor Swift not have enough streams and ads served on those streams, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube or wherever, to justify $1 billion? Of course. Now, does she work harder than the guy who's mowing your lawn? No, but she has. Look, especially in the modern world, we have with tech the possibility of infinite scalability. You know what infinite scalability is? Like if Taylor Swift was going to have a billion people buy her music 20 years ago or 30 years ago, she would have to print a billion CDs, and she would have to distribute them out, and there would be a finite amount of CDs that could be sold. You could only sell what you printed. But this idea where you can throw it online and you can just do it once and 10 billion people can view it, that's infinite scalability. There's no limit to the amount of product that she can serve to her clients. So with that, of course, people can get to $1 billion. But don't you like this idea that no one deserves $1 billion except for people in government? People in government get to spend $7 trillion every year. That's not a scary, unethical proposition to you, sir? Bernie Sanders can control $7 trillion worth of spending, but Elon Musk is a bad guy if he controls $100 billion. That's interesting. That's a neat trick. Because, look, if you are the trillionaires, the only threat to your power is billionaires. That's the problem they really have with Elon Musk getting that rich, with Jeff Bezos getting that rich, with anyone getting that rich. Without anyone able to accumulate $1 billion, how could anyone go out and buy Twitter, go buy a social media platform, and make it the only one that's not on board with big government, that's not on board with Team Blue? We would have no free speech. We would have nobody challenging the power and the narrative of the federal government, if not for this evil billionaire who was able to go out and just straight up buy Twitter. And he had another little falsity in there. They didn't deserve $1 billion. They got it just from the tax code and the structure of the system. Oh, that's right. Yeah. They if we had a fair tax system, we would have taken that money from them and given it to government, and that would have been more fair. Without the ability to keep making money, why would Elon Musk do all this stuff? He could have just made like his first billion from Tesla and then not even bothered with SpaceX, not bothered with the Boring Company, not bothered with Solar City, not bothered with all of these other enterprises that he's in. Why? Because he can make more. So I really despise this. But this economic fallacy that pops up every once in a while where it's illegal, it's immoral to be a billionaire. It's wrong to be a billionaire. No one deserves to be a billionaire. That's just plain old envy. Why not? You just get jealous if someone has more than you? Or if you think they have too much? Why does that bother you? Why does that affect your life at all? They didn't take it from you by force. If Sam Walton has any of your money or his heirs have any of your money, it's because you went there and you voluntarily agreed to that transaction and it made your life better, or you wouldn't have done it. So it's just silly to begin with. But the motivation behind this, I find it to be really ugly, and ugly in a childish way. This is what my 4-year-olds felt like. I remember I have 4 kids on purpose. And I remember one time when my daughter, she was like 3 or 4, and she was real concerned. Like if we were handing out M&Ms, if she got 3 and one of her siblings got 4, it was a blow up. It was a, hey, Dad, no, that's not fair. And I said, well, and I did this experiment with her one day because, observing these little kiddos is hilarious all the time. And so as a dad, I said, okay, what if I gave everybody 2 M&Ms and I just gave you 1? She's like, well, that's not fair. And then I'm like, would you rather everyone get 0, including you? She said, yes. So she would rather be more poor than she otherwise would be at age 4. She's not like this now. Rather than see people get ahead of her. It was this base, and children are so honest. And when you get down to these little animal levels of thought here, they expose that pretty well. It was just plain old envy. Of course, she grew out of that probably by about age 5 or 6. But Thomas Sowell explains how this blame the rich scenario keeps coming up over and over.
When politicians point their finger at the rich and whip up resentment, they're not trying to empower anybody. They're not lifting up the poor. They're disarming them. They're creating a distraction, a sleight of hand, so you don't notice what's really happening. The strategy is as old as politics itself. Stoke envy, manufacture outrage, and direct it at a convenient target. That way, people are too busy hating to ask why the schools don't teach, why the jobs don't come, or why the system keeps so many trapped in dependency.
Right. Government's not your problem. These evil rich people, they're your problem. That's pretty ugly, isn't it? It's not a good way to go about life. A couple things to end the show with. I'm just going to throw this out there for people who like to send me emails saying, oh, you worship Trump. You need to think for yourself. You're not a critical thinker. All you do is just repeat everything he says and you don't even think for. I'm about to do it twice here. Number one, I don't like this idea of straight cash for health care. Now, this is a debate that kind of ramped up over the weekend. I think it's starting to peter out now. But the discussion was that instead of all these Obamacare subsidies and help with the premiums going straight to the insurance company, why don't we give it to the consumer and let them shop for themselves?
I said, why do we just pay this money directly to the people of our country and let them buy their own health insurance? And I made that statement, and I made it a little bit cavalierly, but it sounded good. And everybody has picked up, including Democrats. And I am talking to some Democrats right now about doing that. People love it. We're going to take the money. Well, if it gets approved, we're going to take the money. We're going to pay it back to the people of our country to go out and buy health insurance. Now, they could put it in a health account. We can do it a lot of different ways. But they'd buy their own health insurance. They can negotiate price. And it's going to be locked so they can't go out and buy a Cadillac.
Well, we saw how money's fungible with the food stamp system, and it's not going to prevent people from doing dumb things or making better decisions if you hand it out. It didn't make their food cheaper, didn't make it more abundant. So it's not going to do that with health care either. And it just seems odd that as a taxpayer, here we have a program that we're going to take money from you, run it through DC, and then we're going to give some of it back to you so you'll be able to better afford health care. How about you don't tax me that money? How about you don't inflate my currency by printing it if you don't have it already? That would help me buy health care too, wouldn't it? And wouldn't that keep the cost down a little better? So I disagree with that. And I'm not so sure about selling F-35s to the Saudis.
Saudi Arabia, tomorrow you're hosting Saudi Arabia. Are you planning to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
I mean, and also, are you looking at doing a similar security agreement like you did with
Yeah, no, I am planning on doing that. Yeah.
You're gonna
they
sell
want to buy.
F-35s?
They've been a great ally. They've got to like us very much. Look at the Iran situation, what we did in terms of obliterating, we obliterated their nuclear capability.
All right. So selling some of the technology that we spent over $1 trillion in your dollars to develop, we're just going to go sell it to the Saudis? All right, I'll sell them an F-35. How about for $1 trillion? We'll sell you one. I would accept that deal. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show. Coming up, Leonard Skinner and Foreigner are on a tour together. They'll be at the Dos Equis Pavilion August 28th. You get tickets and information at livenation.com, or you can listen to the WBAP Morning Show this week to find out how you can win a pair of tickets. Coming up next, Mark Levin. In the meantime, in the next 21 hours, if you need more of me, go find the James Show podcast. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.